Hello and welcome to the Reference Point Podcast. I'm your host, Paulo, and today I'm joined by my two sensational co-hosts, Matthew and Anthony.
That's us.
Hey, it's good to be back talking about yet another Marvel project. The shit does not end.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Give me a break.
Star Wars cannot keep up, and neither can DC.
So today we're going to be talking about She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Yes, Attorney at Law, because it was a law show. Totally.
Absolutely.
General thoughts?
General thoughts. Anthony, go first.
Well, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the show. It was a fun sitcom-like TV show. It's not exactly what you expect from Marvel Studios. It's not like an A plot, like one main storyline going from start to finish. It's kind of like a bunch of episodes that don't really have much to do with a real plot, but kind of still are fun to watch and you have a good time with.
Mm-hmm. This show is, I don't know if you've noticed, is incredibly divisive online.
Oh, for real.
So what I will say is, if you hate this show and you're tuning in expecting us to completely trash it, it's not exactly what you're going to get, but I will suggest to maybe stick around because we might say some things that you might find interesting. What I do appreciate about this show is kind of what I really appreciate about Phase 4 in general is that it does feel very different. It feels like a big swing, and you might say it's a miss, but I think it's a huge risk for Marvel Studios to deliver something this different. Like Anthony said, this kind of feels like a slice of life comedy that doesn't have to rely on the most, tight interconnectivity, if you will.
Not the most tight-knit storytelling, to say the least.
Absolutely not. Now, what I do kind of like is that the writing team is very much aware of all of that. But it can still be to the show's ultimate detriment. So ultimately, I did feel like the show was entertaining. It was fun. I don't think it was as funny as it could have been. But overall, I also just don't think that with this type of premise, they really didn't take advantage of everything as well as they could have. Basically on a character level, on a storytelling level, some might say on a visual effects level. I actually thought the VFX were very, very excellent
I
for
thought
a
they were
vast.
pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was very good for a vast majority of the show. A couple scenes here and there, of course, but I think there's some really impressive VFX work in my opinion. But
I think a lot of people were just coming off that first trailer where it didn't really look that good. And
Yeah.
they just said, oh, it sucks. And they never improve VFX, even though they always do.
right, exactly.
But
So
they improved it. And I got to say, it didn't really bother me. It didn't really like stick out to me in a lot of scenes. So
I don't know how to feel about this show. Like, I get the premise. I get that it's a sitcom, but I don't know. That's not really what I wanted out of the series. Like, I wanted something that was more of like a direct story. It didn't have to be so interconnected, but something that followed through with a like one arc with like a continuous story rather than just cut up into bits and then just like random just bullshit anywhere. And I really do feel like the meta humor worked at first, but then it kind of really goes off the deep end to very much the detriment of the series.
you're talking in the last episode specifically, right?
Yeah.
Without going into spoilers. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's like we're kind of tuning in for something to happen. And like the show just had so many scenes of nothing with basically a bare minimum of a plot sprinkled throughout, which then doesn't really even get resolved.
Oh, it does get resolved, but maybe not in a way that you expect.
yeah,
Not
exactly.
in a satisfactory way, I would say.
Right.
But that's like a lot more for the spoiler talk. We'll save that for later.
Yeah.
I would just say, like, ultimately, I was just disappointed. But I don't know if it's because I had too high expectations or if this was just not something meant for me to enjoy and was meant for a certain audience.
I just feel like, I don't watch a sitcom like Seinfeld or Parks and Rec and be like, and I watch an episode and have a good laugh and say, but where's the plot in this episode? It's like,
Right.
there's always a plot in every episode, but is there a giant interconnecting story? Not really.
Yeah,
Well,
but
like,
that's going into Seinfeld or whatever. You kind of have that expectation where it's just a sitcom. With She-Hulk, it's ultimately part of the MCU. It's got that baggage where it has to tell something. It doesn't have to connect to the main universe, but like you kind of have that expectation of like, okay, we're getting introduced to a new character. Let's see this character grow and become this hero. let's see how, especially in her case, how she relates to Bruce, and how, like, you know, having a second Hulk out there, especially with like the fallout of the Hulk himself, Abomination, how that works in the public sphere, and even just, in all honesty, really explore the legal side. That would have been so interesting.
Well, for me, yeah, like just to chime in quickly, I feel like that's probably one of the things that disappointed me the most. I do feel like while some episodes here and there were ultimately about a specific case, take for instance episodes 4 and 5, let's say, I do feel like the show kind of squandered in its potential, especially for the legal drama
Especially in the second half. I found like in the first half they had a bigger focus on it, but in the second half they kind of just like
Forgot about
Well, what I do appreciate though is that they genuinely decide to focus a lot on Jen's character growth and ultimately coming to terms with something that her cousin Bruce tells her in episode 1, and then that's something somebody else says in the second last episode to her, which I thought was one of the best parts in the show that we'll get to. But I think her coming to terms with the fact that she ultimately needs to balance both her life as Jen and her life as She-Hulk, and how she could do good in both of those aspects, I think it was really, really great. Could it have also been better? Yes. But I just feel like it wasn't as good as it could have been because the show felt very uneven in what it was trying to accomplish. It wanted to do this, it wanted to do that, it wanted to do this, wanted to do that. It was just a little bit too much going on and for me, the disconnectedness, if you will, came more, in my opinion, from the writing team. Almost as if they didn't really know exactly what they wanted from the show until the very last episode, when it kind of like everything gets blown up in our faces, right?
It kind of just feels like the writing team really didn't know what they were doing. I'll be real.
I don't know about that, but
no, I think
that
that
they had one joke that they really wanted to tell, which was the last episode, and they created this whole narrative just to build up to it. That's at least how I felt.
What did you think of the humor in the show?
I thought it was pretty funny. It was nothing like mind-boggling. That's not the word I'm looking for. It was nothing like
titillating.
Yeah, I wasn't on the floor every episode.
Right.
I thought the WONG episode was like really, really funny, and that's about it. Every episode gave me a couple laughs, but it wasn't like you know, watching a comedy movie and having a laugh. It wasn't the funniest thing in the MCU for me.
I think the cast, if anything, really, really elevates the material. Like Tatiana Maslany, who plays Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, in the show, I think is like Ms. Marvel, another gift.
No,
to mankind.
She
is
killed
just,
it.
Like what an amazing screen presence. She's such a delight.
Yeah, she was genuinely a highlight for me.
Oh my god, I like the supporting cast as well, in terms of their, I guess, chemistry, if you will. But as characters, I feel like every other supporting character felt rather kind of shallow, one-dimensional.
I felt like they underutilized a lot of them too. Like that guy Pug, he was funny, and the scenes he's in, he's great and whatnot. But I feel like he wasn't in the show that much.
Yeah, I liked his little interactions that he had with Jen's best friend. What was her name again?
Nikki.
Nikki, that's right. So the way they play off each other, I think, was really, really fun. It's just, ultimately, I didn't think there was much meat to grab onto. I don't know if you will.
I get what you mean. It's like I found, like, out of all the side characters, the only one who was really fleshed out the most was probably Nikki, and that's about it.
No, I disagree. I don't even find her that fleshed out at all.
Well, when I say fleshed out, I mean like she's in like a lot of scenes compared to all the other side characters.
Right.
She has like the bare minimum of just not even character development, but just like
she's just there for comedic relief.
I
think,
Nikki just feels like she has so much character because she just shows up so often. She's still a one-dimensional character like everyone else, but it's just the sheer volume of scenes she shows up in just makes her like a 1.5 dimensional character, in all honesty.
Something I want to mention, I feel like there's a lot of vitriol on the show online, like I mentioned before, that I do feel like is overblown. I don't know if you guys kind of see the points of view of people online.
I love when we talk about other people's opinions. It's great.
I just feel like there's just so much hatred, geared towards the show that is just completely, I think, overblown.
Right.
just like almost anything Marvel puts out nowadays.
It's because
No, but this especially like
Yeah,
this is getting like
I'm not gonna pretend like this
this
isn't
is
like
this is like the most
insanity,
review
but-
bombed like Marvel property ever, and the
Hey,
amount of
call Captain Marvel and say that.
no, but like look, go on Twitter, man. Like go on Twitter and just like look at the things that people say, and it's funny because I know people who love the show up until the last episode. I know the people who love the first 2 episodes or 1 episode and then kind of like got off the rails a little bit with it, and then kind of started liking it a bit again towards the end. I know people from all ends of the spectrum with the show, and the things that I see online are absolutely kind of crazy to me. I don't know.
It's because that's kind of what the internet culture has become. It's like when you hate something, you have to overhate it. You have to point out every single problem with it. You have to completely destroy it in order to convince other people that it's like, I'm right. I know this sucks because I hate it. Instead of just saying either it sucks because XYZ or it didn't jive with me. And the thing is, they'll never stop doing this. They're always going to overblow it because they've essentially built their livelihood on this. Like, at the end of the day, all these YouTubers who do these stupid clickbait videos, they're just making money off it. That's why they make 50,000 Brie Larson videos, because them and their audience will eat that shit up, and they're going to constantly be watching it. It's a cycle of never-ending hatred that ends up being really profitable. So it's not that it's overblown because people hate it so much. It's just overblown because they need to do it this way so they can generate revenue.
Like, look, if you hated the show because you felt like, oh, I genuinely didn't appreciate the storytelling, or it just genuinely wasn't for me, this isn't my type of show that I like to watch, and you really hate it for that reason, look, man, I implore you to say your opinion. I think it's a very valid opinion.
Agreed.
What I kind of don't
Not
want,
always valid.
Well,
Look, it is 100% valid. It's just the problem is those people who overblow it ruin it for everyone.
Well, not even overblowing. I just feel like look, there's a big difference between saying I hated the show because X, Y, and Z didn't work for me, and there's another reason for hating the show that I don't really necessarily agree with, where it's like I hate the show because it's pure feminist liberal propaganda nonsense. Mm-hmm. That is they're shoving crap down my throat, political drama that I don't want to hear. It's like, okay. And then there's other people as well who watch She-Hulk that I've also seen tweets of, and it's like, oh, I love this show, about the finale especially. I thought the finale was brilliant. It was absolutely amazing, and if you think otherwise, then you're a misogynistic bastard. Like, what? Like,
I agree with that.
like, people need to like, everybody just needs to calm the down with this show, because like it is just absolute madness.
Honestly, discourse in general, it's just gotten so stupid where it's like you can't express an opinion anymore without it becoming like you're on this side or this side. And it's honestly, as stupid as it sounds, it all comes back to Star Wars.
Yeah, no, I was actually just about to bring up Star Wars, man.
People hated this, and then they made it political instead of just saying I hate this movie because it does this. And then people overcorrect, and then you get this stupid toxic drama.
Book of Boba Fett sucked. Yeah, I get it.
No, it's because when they express a negative opinion, you have those who say the most outrageous stupidity, and then that gets lumped in with genuine criticism.
Right.
And then because people who's only said negative things related it to this outrageous so therefore, if you dislike the movie, you have to think the same way.
Right.
And that creates this huge wave of overcorrection.
Right.
There's no more space for nuanced opinion on the internet. And in all honesty, She-Hulk is a really big example of that, where it's like you can't have a nuanced opinion. You can't say like, I dislike the show because of storytelling, because of this, because of the characters. Now it's just, I hate this thing because oh, it's so political, it's this, that, and then you have people where it's like, oh, you're a misogynist if you dislike it. But it's like, no, I just had this kind of expectation. I was not met, therefore I didn't like it.
The show is only filled with horrible men. What a great example it's setting for us. It's like, well, no, it's not only filled with horrible men. Yeah, there are horrible men in it, yes, and they villainize these horrible men because no one should look up to these horrible men. You understand?
Exactly.
It's like no, we need to point our fingers and say these are bad types of people. Meanwhile, in the show, there are also other supporting characters who are male, who are great, and who actually
like Pug.
Yes, but I was talking about two other people who actually kind of prove to Jen that she's wrong in a sense, which really helps with her character growth.
Mm-hmm.
Something else about the whole political nature of the show.
You guys take people online too seriously.
But kind of like from like a week to week basis, it's almost as if the writing team knew exactly how social media would react to what was happening in the show. It's as if like even the jokes, like they were tailor crafted when it came to breaking the fourth wall, about addressing tropes, about addressing the way people would react online.
About WONG.
About WONG, everything. Just like in a way, in that kind of sense, I really, really appreciated what they did, and I found it laugh out loud funny as a social commentary and political
side. That could be one of two things.
Yeah.
Either they're terminally online.
Yes.
Or goddamn crunch is real. They wrote the episode like 2 weeks before because they saw the reactions. And
those poor VFX artists.
Poor VFX artists. These deadlines are so unfair.
They're really getting close with these deadlines now.
Anyway, so okay, so look, I think it's a good general talk wrap up. So I guess we'll move over to spoilers. Let's dive into some characters who we didn't really talk about much.
So Jen Daredevil, as we predicted first before anyone else.
We did. Here.
I did, yes. Guys, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna say this right now. I don't actually think we ever said it on the show, so.
No, I'm 99%
Well,
sure.
I know we tweeted it for sure, 100%. This was like a while ago.
No,
it was like back in July.
I kept telling people about it. I kept saying it. I'm telling you guys, I said it first. I know it.
So what really made you believe that they were going to Shteig?
Well, let's be real. It all started off with when I saw this trailer and I see that she's on all these dating apps and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And anyone who reads Daredevil knows one thing about Daredevil is that he So we all knew Daredevil was probably going to be in this show.
Yeah, he does.
And he's going to
Yeah.
So who's he going to the girl on the dating apps, which is She-Hulk. It was going to happen. I was happy with it. And they had such good chemistry. It really worked. That Daredevil episode 8, was so good. So that was like, it made me so happy. I was like seeing the Lee and Kirby books come to life. Oh, it made me so happy watching that.
Okay, so you just like jumped ahead like 8
yeah,
episodes.
I really did.
So
I'm sorry.
Let's just talk about then. What was your favorite part of the show?
I was going to just say before we do, Daredevil right?
Right.
But have you ever heard of the phenomenon of DD, Doom Dick, where every girl that Daredevil had sex with died in the comics?
That's not true.
It is. I've seen a lot of threads on Twitter point this out, and there's jokes going around that She-Hulk's gonna die next.
And you're talking about the writers being terminally online.
Look, guys, speaking of smashing, I want you to Hulk smash that like button if you're watching this on YouTube.
That was so forced.
That's okay. That's okay. I want you to smash that like button like it's Matt Murdock. Let's do it. Come on, show your support. Also, while you're at it, please subscribe to the OARTV YouTube channel. Subscriber count is the only thing YouTube actually cares about. So do that if you haven't already subscribed. Hit that bell notification too. Okay, all right. Shameless plugs. Let's do it. Let's keep going. So
yeah, I guess let's start with like the first kind of big character, the Hulk.
Yeah.
How do you think he was handled? Because I think he was handled perfectly fine, as opposed to what everyone says.
Exactly what I thought it was going to be. Professor Hulk, and that's it. I like Professor Hulk. I said before, I'm a big Hulk fan. Professor Hulk, I like him, but we got to get back to Savage Hulk sometime soon. I love me a Savage Hulk. We got to get back to that.
I agree.
Yeah.
But what we did see, I absolutely loved with Bruce. I thought it was fantastic. Once again, Tatiana Maslany has incredible chemistry with literally anybody she blesses the screen with. Incredible. I really bought them as cousins. I really bought him being kind of upset that she's sort of like, dismissing his teachings, or she's already just so good
throwing away the book.
Yeah, and then dude, even at the end when it's like, I earned the powers in the last episode, from the villain. It's like that's literally what people were saying in episode 1 about She-Hulk not earning the powers, not earning.
Exactly.
It's like it's incredible. Like these writers are just, oh my god,
that was so.
They have
funny.
Moments of genius. Anyway, so
I gotta say, underrated moment in the first episode is the first time she breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Is when when Hulk says, "Oh, you can go back to your job," and she goes, "Oh, he doesn't really mean that," or whatever. And it's like, and you could see she does a double take of like, "Wait, what did I just do?"
Yes, exactly.
Like I actually really enjoyed that one. It was like a nice subtle moment. It's great.
I liked their fight. I thought their fight was good.
I like that with Hulk, he portrays himself as a guy who's been in it for as long as he is. and he's really genuinely trying to help out.
Absolutely.
And Jen is being really dismissive.
And he's right.
And you could tell he's getting frustrated and he doesn't want to like Hulk out. And I really appreciate that he's trying.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting and really adds to Jen's half arc.
I don't appreciate the fact that the Jeep was able to move the Hulk, but like, you know, when she rams into him.
I don't think he was trying to kill his cousin, keep in mind, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
no, I
true.
know, but like, no, I understand, but like, you know,
I don't think he was trying to do anything bad. Like I could accept it.
No, that's
I just
different,
don't
that's
buy the
different.
fact that the Jeep is physically able to move the Hulk. Like,
Did it catch him by surprise? I barely remember that scene.
No, it's okay, whatever. But I thought everything else worked really, really well.
I like this is gonna make you laugh, but I actually like the off-screen development that they did of we're talking about him and Tony Stark building the bar and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we don't have to see that. Like him saying it is good enough for me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Yeah.
sweet.
it's nice endgame post snap stuff. That
Absolutely,
You
I
wanna hear.
want to see more of that stuff. I think that's always very endearing. You know.
Also, we gotta talk about this because we haven't said it yet. But Steve Rogers fucks.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
It kind of really made me reposition my perception of Steve Rogers during the 40s.
I mean, come on, we all know he must have done something. The poor man, he was a skinny little boy. He wanted to get some action. He became a big man. I could believe
he
it
had
happened.
sex with Star-Lord's grandmother, guys.
No, that's not true. It's not canon. Don't say that. Stop spreading misinformation.
Just to explain this, the actress who,
Laura Haddock.
yes, I think
I
so.
hope.
Point is, that actress plays Star-Lord's mom, basically, in Guardians of the Galaxy. And you also see that same actress be starstruck with Steve Rogers in the
the first
1940s in Captain America: The First Avenger. So there's a theory that he had sex with Chris Pratt's
grandmother. Not Star Lord, but Chris Pratt
Chris Pratt
himself.
himself.
So now the next big thing would be Emil Blonsky.
Yeah.
That was, I'll be real, a big bag fumble. Like, it started off strong with that premise where he's like, oh, like he's reformed and whatnot, and he wants to get out. And like, part of me felt like there was twinges of like he's manipulating her just because like, you know, he brings up he was used and all this, but he made decisions in that movie where it's like he didn't have to. He was doing it for the sake of being
Well, I think
evil.
he really was kind of influenced by the super soldier serum, kind of like messing with his head in a sense. So
Oh, for
No,
sure.
you could have a debate there.
very
Like, there's no
unstable, yeah.
right or wrong answer. I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of interpretation I had. And then they just kind of really decided, you know, this villain, this famous Hulk villain that
Yeah.
everyone loves, let's not make him a villain anymore. Let's make him just like
He reminded me of
spiritual guy.
Korg.
Not even, because at least
little
Korg,
bit.
What? Why?
Just like when he's like made of perishable rocks, you know, like it's just like and
He's literally Tim Roth doing his regular voice.
I know, but I just find it just reminds me of Korg. I can't explain it. Just this big like creature that's just kind of like soft on the inside. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
it just reminds-
I kind of get where you're coming from.
I see where you're coming from, but that to me, that just is a symbol of a bigger problem where it's like, why can't we have a villain that's a villain? Like, Abomination's cool in the comics. Like, I remember when we had those old Hulk books and he would fight Abomination. That stuff was badass.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, that opportunity's gone now because he's nice. He just wants to be a spiritual leader. He wants to lead like sweatshops and tents and stuff like that. It's like, no.
Sweatshops.
What is this? What is he
Sweat
cooking?
Lodge.
Sweat Lodge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweatshops.
I was like, what was he making? Nikes or
What was he paying his workers, man?
Look, it just like ultimately it just kind of ruins this character in all honesty, where it's like you have a villain. Marvel has a shortage of villains. Keep him.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like, look, I'm going to jump ahead. If you're teasing a Hulk sequel, try keeping the Hulk villain intact instead of just kind of taking him off the table completely.
guys, Marvel Studios has undone so many things so quickly that I'm not even worried about that.
I guess. Yeah, but okay, so here's the thing, right? I agree with Paolo basically in most of the things that he said. I felt like at the beginning...
Even the sweatshops.
No, not the sweatshop. I felt like at the beginning... like
You're
at the
making little Abomination toys.
for Hasbro. It's a Hasbro sweatshop. So basically, you know, I actually really thought the idea of Jennifer Walters needing to represent Emil Blonsky, who clearly had history with her cousin.
In an underrated movie.
Yeah, The Incredible Hulk is incredibly underrated. I felt like all that was really, really kind of compelling, and it offered an opportunity to explore things in a legality kind of sense that was that felt very interesting to me. And I dug the idea of him being reformed to an extent. Like, I liked how Emil Blonsky was able to offer a new, fresh perspective on what happened in The Incredible Hulk. And, he really was used. He was used by the U.S. government. He was just a tool. So I found that very, very compelling. But then when they really started to dive more into the sweat lodge stuff, that's kind of where it lost me a little bit. I didn't really buy this Marine. I don't buy him as becoming this type of person, because I feel like it's just too radically different.
What did Wong do to him?
Yeah, exactly. It just turned the character, I feel, into a joke, but not a good one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just like he turned into a joke, and even if you don't see it, like, let's say even if that sort of transformation could happen, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. They should have really just stuck with him being reformed to an extent. And in all honesty, I like where you're kind of going with that whole, like, approaching it from a legality standpoint. And a really interesting thing this show could have done would be, like, really leave it ambiguous as to whether or not he was reformed, and that Jen was basically potentially representing someone that could relapse and go back into that destruction. And it's like, how will Jen be able to do that? What kind of thoughts is she going to go through? What are the moral implications of it? But instead it's like, no, let's watch him, a man who looks like a bull, conquistador, and a giant porcupine be in a sweat lodge. It's like,
exactly. That would have been a really, really great kind of premise for the whole season. I feel, her representing Emil and make it an actual courtroom drama that's a comedy at the same time.
No,
I
can't see a courtroom drama that's a comedy at the same time.
You could have comedic elements, but I feel like that would have been a strong element of drama. Just look at most Marvel movies. They managed to balance drama with comedy fairly well. Like, look at Winter Soldier, or look at...
Yeah, but to call those movies a comedy is like you're a joker if you call Winter Soldier a comedy.
Okay,
yeah, there's a couple of quips here and there, but it's not a comedy.
You're focusing on the wrong point. The point is they could have balanced the comedy with an actually riveting legal case. And comics do it all the time, where it's like the trial of X, the trial of Y, or it's like, that would have been a cool premise. The trial of Abomination / Emil Blonsky, where it's like, and then you could even apply that sort of like, do you call him Abomination? Do you call him Emil Blonsky? And it's like, you have so much really cool ideas, and then they just kind of fumbled it because they want to do funny jokes. They want to do like a sitcom. They want to do slice of life, when it's like, that's not what you should be doing with something like this.
Anyway, so we talked a lot about Emil Blonsky. Let's move on.
Yeah, I got my points in about him. It's fine.
So next, what is that? Episode 4 now, technically, after all the Blonsky stuff. So WONG.
WONG was fun. I like WONG.
I thought WONG, that out of all the episodes, that was like, okay, this is just going to be like a standalone kind of contained courtroom sort of trial episode. I thought that was probably the most fun one, just because, man, we love some WONG.
Like some big old Wong.
I love some big old Wong.
I mean, who doesn't? Wongers. He's a great guy. He's watching one of my favorite shows, The Sopranos, even though Madison spoiled it for him. That kind of made me very sad, but,
I don't remember what she said. I still haven't seen The Sopranos, and I don't remember what she said, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, thank God I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's such a good show and everyone should watch it.
I'm definitely going to get around to watching HBO's The Sopranos.
That's
soon.
A good f***ing anime right there.
Anime?
Yeah, you didn't know it's an anime along with King of the Hill.
Speaking of cartoons, a lot of Rick and Morty influence in this. You could tell from the writers.
Yeah, so just Gal came from Rick and Morty, so I could believe that.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's really off-putting, and I really like Rick and Morty. It's just off-putting sometimes.
I disagree. I don't know. That was fine. So yeah, that episode was fun. Then moving on, episode 5 was the Titania episode, right? Where there was the whole legal name battle, right? Anthony, what did you think of that one?
I like seeing a nice legal case, So it was funny that they kind of exposed their Tinder account and whatnot, or whatever the app was called. I forgot. Like that made for a good laugh when she's talking about she needs a reinforced bed. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that legitimately did make me laugh.
Right.
But like I thought, is it a strong episode? Like, is it the greatest episode of TV I've ever seen?
Right.
No, but I had a good time. So like, what more could I have asked for?
Yeah, it's just like as a standalone episode of television, like I thought it was fine. You know, like again, the hate is just crazy, and it doesn't connect, and it's okay. It doesn't have to connect.
Okay, I've seen so much bad television that like,
Right.
I know what bad TV is, and this was not that bad. Like,
Yeah, that I can agree
you
with.
guys, I've watched so many years of the CW DC shows. Like, trust me, this is better. not a very high bar, but it's better.
Better than Riverdale.
Riverdale was great. Now they're doing like multiverse stuff in it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, guys, that show went off the rails. Like, it's insane.
You know, if they show animated Archie, that would be lit. Like, do you remember that old Archie cartoon from when we were kids?
Yeah, but they did this. We're going off topic right now, but I don't really care. There's in the newest season. I didn't watch this, but I saw it on TikTok or something. That because they recast the actor who played Reggie in season 1, and then they brought him back in the latest season, both actors, and it's like they did this multiverse story of how he got replaced. So weird. Whatever. Who cares? She-Hulk. It's fine. It's good. What's the next episode?
Just Jen, I believe, was the next episode after that, aka the wedding episode.
Yeah, that episode is just...
That was no. I'm not gonna lie. The episode before that, teasing Daredevil, was so funny and so good because everyone on Twitter's like, next episode, Daredevil. Then you go, the wedding episode starts. She says, weddings happen at the worst time. You know, kind of like real life, and that's it. And then they put a wedding episode.
Like, okay. So does the breaking of the fourth wall and the very self-aware humor, kind of pointing fun at itself, like, does that type of humor justify the disappointment that you have for the show? Like, okay, so basically, what am I trying to say is, is it a valid excuse to use in a show like that? So like a lot of people are complaining like, oh, the show's crap, right? But the show knows it's crap. So does it make it okay?
I
don't know.
I wouldn't think the show's telling you, yeah, we're a crap show. It's kind of like, you know.
The show literally does say that in the last episode.
No, the last episode says that the last episode is crap. It doesn't say that the whole show is crap.
Well, it's kind of okay. So like we didn't mention the blood plot line once yet. So let's just maybe
we didn't mention it once because it's not very interesting.
Yeah, we didn't
It's
mention
not really that relevant.
we didn't mention the wrecking crew. My God, what a
Talk
disaster.
about what a fumble. Were they even Asgardian in the show?
They were not Asgardian.
They just had Asgardian gear.
It was, guys, what were they thinking? What were they cooking with that? I remember watching that thinking, that is the wrecking crew. Like, there's no way. They even whitewashed one of them, which is like,
terrible.
What? Like, oh my God. I just forgot about them. You have to remind me.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the most terrible things of the show. I think
That was
the wrecking crew.
more disappointing than Abomination without a doubt. At least, like, Abomination is still salvageable. Wrecking Crew is like, what are you gonna, like, what did they do with them? Like, the only way you go around is by saying, oh yeah, that wasn't the real Wrecking Crew. This is.
Only even one of them was at the sweatshop, the sweat lodge. Only one that was there ultimately at the end. You know, what about the rest of the team?
They just
Like,
kind
they
of
just did
forgot
nothing
about
with
them.
Yeah,
Like,
so that was horrible. But
why did they even make that the Wrecking Crew? They could have just been generic goons. Like, who cares?
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, about the blood plot line, you know,
It's such a fucking weird plot. Like, it's just like...
I'm tired of Magic Blood. I am a guy.
no, but the show knows that you're tired of Magic
But-
Blood. So so what I'm trying to say is, them knowing that, does it make it okay?
Guys, I was
I don't
tired
know.
by Magic Blood when they did in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then J.J. Abrams did it in the standalone Spider-Man comic. And now this show was doing blood again. And I'm like, okay, I think we've had it enough of blood. And then when the show pointed it out in the last episode, I'm like, oh, wow, they actually knew. That makes me it makes me feel a bit better about the plotline overall, you know?
Right.
I don't know how I feel because it's like it kind of ventures into that territory, like walks a fine line of like, did you actually write a shitty show just to have a joke at the end pay off? And it's like, at that point, why don't you just write a better show?
Look, I'm going to be real. I have a theory about this, which is based off leaks and speculation. But maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm right.
I
Interesting.
think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I get the feeling a lot of the last episode is reshot and reshoots because a lot of leaks did say that it's about Magic Blood and she ends up fighting a deformed Hulk guy and whatnot. But not too many mentioned about more. Like, some leaks did mention, yeah, she goes to Marvel Studios and she rewrites a bit, but none of them were like to this extreme. I get the feeling that they actually wrote the She-Hulk story and then realized as a whole once they filmed and whatnot that it's like, yeah, this doesn't work. That they decided to completely scrap the ending and redo it and say, what if we just said it doesn't work and that's it instead of redoing the whole show?
And that kind of
You know?
just feels cheap to me. That's just like, well, you should have then just wrote a better show from the beginning.
Well, okay, so we'll get to episode 9, but yeah, the wedding episode ultimately, I just kind of felt like we did get some good character moment stuff with Jen, but overall it was probably one of the weaker ones. But again, the show knows that it was one of the weaker ones. They literally call it out for being a filler episode. So again, does it make it okay? I don't know.
I'm telling you, a lot of the fourth wall breaking humor did work for me, because even when they point out that like weddings are so inconvenient, that was funny. Like that worked for me. It made me forgive the episode a little bit more, and you know, we're kind of ragging on it, but it was a perfectly fine episode. I like seeing her fight Titania, and like Titania being like this Kardashian-esque.
I thought it was a great
influencer
social
who
satire.
sucks.
Yeah, I thought it was a great kind of social satire, 100%.
I love the fact that she actually knows who Daredevil is. That was kind of like a funny throwaway line. So.
Yeah, I agree. Titania was fun to make her like a Kardashian type, and like there was a lot of good Jen moments, and like you really get to at least see more of her struggle, see her more like as Jen. But at the end of the day, it was just like the episode was just mid. It was just like, if you enjoy character moments and you like the character, then it's worth seeing. But if you're just in it for the bare bones plot, you're better off skipping it.
And then the next episode was the sweatshops. You know, no, but the sweat lodges with Emil Blonsky and whatnot, that he breaks his parole and then doesn't really show him in the Abomination form, even though we did it.
Yeah,
but
because he got electrocuted by a fence because he had to save his favorite chicken princess.
but the reality was he was doing it because he needs money. Which is actually really funny. It's revealed in the last episode that it's like, oh yeah, he becomes Abomination to talk at shows because he really needs money and people want to see Abomination. I don't know, that was funny. But that being said, we already talked enough about Emil Blonsky in that whole episode, so
Yeah.
I didn't hate the episode, but I came out of the episode thinking, yeah, I think this is all a facade, but however you say that word.
Facade.
But yeah, whatever. It's all a front. It's all a front for like Emil. He's doing something on the side. Maybe he's working with intelligentsia or like the leader or something. Then no, he's actually like a spiritual guidance coach. So can't say I was too pleased with that. Whatever. Next episode.
No, not next episode. I wanted to mention something.
Okay, not next episode, not yet.
The scene when they're all having a little talk in that circle, a little meeting, if you will. And Jen
that was a meeting.
Yes, and Jen basically describes how she feels. I thought that was actually really, really quite profound and beautiful and very sad.
No, that was a really
very well written.
Like,
yeah, really well written moment.
Yeah, I felt for her.
Absolutely.
It just sucks that it was just surrounded by all that shit.
Yeah, I really wish that conversation would have happened somewhere else with different characters. You know?
Oh, you don't like Porcupine?
Oh God! Like it just felt like those characters were just such a waste.
they were funny.
They felt like Taika Waititi style characters,
but worse.
Yeah, guy, Man Bull is an underrated character in the comics. Who doesn't love Man Bull?
That's real.
I love the.
They're all real.
What was his name? Mr. Immortal.
Yeah.
Mr. Immortal was like way earlier on. That was so funny.
Did you know that that's the guy from Book of Boba Fett?
Which guy from Book of Boba
He's
Fett?
the major domo.
Yeah, the guy who was always talking.
Who the hell are you talking about?
He gives the iPad with the screw you message. He's the Twi'lek man.
Oh my God, that's him. That's fantastic.
And his divorces, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a legitimately funny side B plot that I forgot which episode that was in, but I enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember either. But yeah, that was funny. Okay, so cool. He was in Book of Boba Fett. I remember who you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go watch episode 1 to see our thoughts on that, which I already said before. Next episode?
I guess so, yeah. Next episode.
Daredevil. Woo!
We're already at Daredevil. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about this episode so much. This episode is freaking incredible.
This is the best episode of the season.
I'll be real. It's kind of jarring seeing Daredevil because I felt he was too acrobatic.
Oh,
So this is an inside joke. You shall remain unnamed, but the person who was a big fan of the Daredevil series watched Daredevil and She-Hulk, and this person said, I don't know, I think he's a little bit too acrobatic.
No, in their defense, I had texted them the day of like, oh my God, the episode's so good, and they finally made Daredevil acrobatic. Like, That was the one thing Netflix was always missing for me was acrobatic. This guy, like Daredevil, was the kind of character who should keep up with Spider-Man.
Right.
And in Netflix, let's be honest, they never had the budget for it. Like even one of the showrunners was talking about it on Twitter, how much he loved the She-Hulk episode, and I was talking about how he wishes they had the budget to do all the acrobatic stuff, but they couldn't. Marvel Studios has unlimited money, so they could do it, and it worked, and it was so cool seeing that.
Yeah.
That then when she watched it, I was like, oh yeah, I was so not used to seeing that, and I'm like, what do you mean? It's great. Who cares?
Well, also in this person's defense, if your only exposure to Daredevil has ever been the television series, and then you see him do crazy things like this, wear a different costume, it could be a little bit jarring. So I understand.
They haven't even seen the Ben Affleck Daredevil. Can you believe that?
God.
More peanuts, please.
More peanuts, please. Anyway.
I know I actually really had a good time with Daredevil. I was like, it was nice seeing it. It was like, like when we were talking about with Spider-Man, when either it comes out before this, after this, whenever. It's nice seeing a familiar face again.
A Glub Shadow.
But okay, it's not a Glub Shadow because with a Glub Shadow, it's an obscure character that's there to make you clap.
I know what a Glub Shadow is.
Luke Skywalker is not an obscure character.
But this actually served the plot,
Yeah, it served the plot, and like at the end of the day, it works because he acts as a rival lawyer to Jen in the courtroom scene with Leapfrog.
Mm-hmm. I thought the Leapfrog plot was hilarious. I thought it worked really well.
It was, I love the fact that Daredevil just like sniffs and he knows his jet fuel in his costume and whatnot. It's
so good.
We didn't mention the tailor. I also like the tailor, although
he was great.
I did think he was a little bit too petty, to be honest, towards the whole case. Like be a little bit reasonable, man.
Jen.
Yeah, towards Jen. I think he was a little bit mean-spirited.
He forgave her by the end of it.
I guess so. It worked out, but
I thought they made the humor like they didn't. I know a lot of people like saying this, but they didn't really MCUify Daredevil.
Well, that just happened.
No, because they didn't make him funny, but they didn't make him like all kinds of quippy and whatnot, like
right.
This and that. Like he just had like a couple. He was cocky, like in the comics that I've read, like, and I really love that about him. Like
he just had stupid good chemistry with Tatiana Maslany.
He was saying like my ass remains unwhooped. So many people on TikTok were clowning that line. I don't care. That was funny to me. Like even when he's talking about when they're basically breaking into the base. One, he gets another hallway fight, which is great.
I wanted to point that out so bad.
So
it was
good.
Such a nice fight.
But when he's fighting and he's giving Leapfrog legal advice, the guy says, "This guy a lawyer too?" He's like, "No, I just like legal shows." Like, it's so good. Like it was just clever writing. I found a lot in that episode. Like more so than a lot of the other episodes. Like they really put all the effort into that one.
Yeah.
It felt like that was the episode that they really put all the effort in writing. And then they're like, oh yeah, we have a whole other show to write.
Like they knew that they weren't going to botch Daredevil. They wanted to make the fans proud and whatnot.
That would be a death sentence for the show if they f***ed up Daredevil.
I don't know about that. People already gave up by then, so it was fine.
No, even then, I feel like that would have probably killed like any momentum She-Hulk would have had. Because at least now that they introduced Daredevil and they did it right, not only is it giving it momentum for like the Echo show, the Daredevil show, but it's also going to give momentum for season 2 because it's like now we can maybe expect Daredevil to become a recurring character.
And I hope he does.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Like a lot of people online did say that they screwed up Daredevil, but those people know nothing, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But that being said, it was just a great episode. That yellow costume. Wow, I was so happy seeing that.
It didn't look terrible.
It looked good. Awesome. It looked great. It was the Netflix costume, but yellow, and they kind of adjusted the belt so it doesn't look as stupid as it did in Netflix. It's such a nice. The belt's too high on the Netflix costume, if I'm not mistaken.
They didn't tweak anything else on the costume. It looked a little bit different to me. No?
I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, it was yellow.
I think they did. This is like just me theorizing, so I might be wrong. But I think they did CGI the neck so it sticks to his face, like they did for Captain America. Okay. Because Netflix, a lot of times it looked a bit ridiculous when it would open. You see the seams and everything. But when you just close it off with a bit of CG, it looks good. You can't see me because there's no video, but I'm like touching my face, doing it, like demonstrating it. So it's really not helping for you audio listeners.
Or video watchers.
Yeah, but he gets it, so it's fine.
Yeah, so no, I just everything about that to me was a perfect episode.
Yeah,
and it was very emotionally satisfying too. Finally seeing Jen have sex with someone who she kind of like admires in a sense.
No. Speaking of that, I'm gonna say this once and for all, because the most unrealistic part of the show is that nobody wanted to get with Jen. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, like
She's
come on.
such a great person, such a great character, and it's Tatiana Maslany. Like,
She's so pretty.
Who's
She's so
saying
cute.
no?
Like, come on.
There's a lot of desperate men out there. Who's saying no?
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Now,
she
I'm not
low-key
saying
bad.
that She-Hulk ain't bad, because
Okay, look, the men who want to get with She-Hulk, I kind of understand. I can't say I don't understand that because I do. That being said, Jen is still great too. You know, it's like.
I feel like that's like kind of like that main character syndrome where it's like, you know, it's like when you watch like an 80s or 90s movie and the girl is obviously really good looking, but then it's like, oh no, she has glasses or something, so
Yeah.
she's
We've all
ugly.
seen She's All That. Don't worry.
and then she has her glow-up moment.
Or
Yeah.
no, wait, is it She's the Man? That's what I was talking about.
She's the man?
No, She's the Man is
with
the soccer
With Amanda
movie.
Bynes?
No, what is the movie with Freddie Prinze Jr.? Is it She's All That?
I don't
think.
remember. Yeah, I think so.
Whatever. I sound like a
Look,
goof. I'm a bit tired, guys. I'm sorry.
Not
this-
another teen movie.
No.
All this to say that I was willing to forgive and like throw that in the back of my mind because it's like it's just that main character syndrome where it's like you kind of have to suspend your disbelief because like Jen is a great person, great character. She's really good looking, and it's like her not being able to find a date is like obviously unrealistic, but like it works for what they're trying to do.
Sure. But,
It is She's All That. I looked it up while you guys were talking.
amazing.
I just wanted to prove myself right.
Good, you know your movie trivia.
Woo. I only said the wrong title twice.
And then that episode ends with, I thought a really excellent, at the time, I thought a really excellent cliffhanger involving intelligentsia and kind of She-Hulk raging out. And
It's honestly not where I thought it was going to go. That was like a lot darker than I thought. I didn't think Marvel Studios would do something like
you
that.
didn't think they were going to leak She-Hulk's sex tape?
You calling me a fool for not? Or like it's...
But did they really leak the sex tape? Where is it? Where can I find it? I want it to be proven
Honestly-
for real.
No, but I didn't think like Marvel Studios...
It's like it's always sunny where Mac is like, oh, that's disgusting. Where can I find it?
No, but I didn't think Marvel Studios would do a revenge porn storyline. So
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit like, yikes. But like,
I'm sorry to say, Jen was justified for smashing that TV screen. What can I tell you?
yeah,
Like,
she was justified in honestly ripping the guy's head off too, in my opinion.
But I also, again, it feels like another really kind of compelling social commentary. It reminds me of a lot of like actual celebrities getting their sex tapes leaked or their nudes leaked, you know.
or
and
even
that
revenge porn in general too.
revenge porn in general. That
it's a
horrible
problem.
invasion of privacy that many women and especially women as celebrities who actually have to go through getting their stuff leaked. It's just a horrible feeling. So I'm glad that show kind of covered that, at least temporarily, for a cliffhanger episode.
Yeah, and then it did nothing. Really.
No, I wouldn't say they did nothing because they do end up resolving it because that's like that's actually one of the plot lines they do resolve. Like she tells him, "I'll see you in court," basically telling him, "Yeah, you're f***ed, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
you're losing that case." So
Yeah. So
they did resolve it. It's just they didn't do a big, you know.
So
Big
okay,
thing.
so look, episode 9. What was going through your head when the clearly horrible episode was playing out?
What the is going on?
You know what I thought? I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, look at that! It's every other Disney Plus finale. I'm sorry to say it. I wasn't hating it because it felt like every other Disney Plus finale. Like
No, but like I
when
kind of
Titania jumped in, I'm like, okay, well they're really going off the rails now.
yeah, no, but then Hulk comes into him like where
No,
the
when
hell?
Hulk came in, I'm like, okay, but then he started punching Abomination. I'm like, oh my god, we're getting a 2008 rematch. This is what I wanted from the beginning. But then it kind of when it cuts to the Disney Plus screen, I'm like, oh my god, what are they cooking up?
No, the second it booted us back, I was on the phone watching it with my girlfriend and she was like, wait, what? Like she was so confused. She's like, did I press something wrong? So I just like thought like, wow, this is like absolutely brilliant. And from that point on, call it a cop-out if you will, but I just absolutely loved the rest of the episode.
No, to me that I like when they push boundaries and take risks. That to me was a big risk, and I gotta respect them for it.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Like if you're online and you're calling it trash and you're very upset, like I could understand sort of where you're coming from. It might not be for you, but
It's
it
very
worked for
out
me.
of left field, you know, because like
Yeah.
they really jumped the shark in a way. But look, I always loved the John Byrne She-Hulk comics, and that's exactly what it reminded me of. So I couldn't have been mad with it.
Exactly. What was it? The last issue that he did, where she basically comes out of the comic book panel, like she's ripping like the comic book
I
panel.
think it's the
she's
last
talking.
issue, but he does it in a couple.
Yeah,
Like,
she talks directly to John Byrne, the writer. You know,
It's
so.
like no, but it's like even when you look at the first cover of his run, it's her saying, "Buy this comic, otherwise I'm gonna come to your house and rip up your X-Men." Like,
You know?
she always talks to the audiences and challenges them. Like, seeing what they did with Marvel Studios, how she actually went to the headquarters was so funny. Like,
I thought that episode works so much better if you actually know about the inner workings of Marvel Studios and the non-disclosure agreements and all that stuff. I thought I was literally almost on the floor for how friggin' hard I was laughing.
I was literally like speechless. Like I couldn't believe it.
I thought it was brilliant. Paulo really wants to say something. Go ahead.
I don't know how I feel about it. Like at the end of the day, it's like it just kind of feels like a justification for poorly writing a show, and then it's like they point out this stuff where it's like, oh, it's a Marvel machine, and like
like Kevin like literally gives a whole new meaning to the Marvel machine. And
Literally.
And it's like, you know, it's all robotic, and the VFX team. It's like, okay, you're pointing all this shit out, but like, one, these are kind of problems, especially the VFX stuff, because like Marvel's abusing their artists, and now it's kind of being played off as a joke.
Oh, give me a break.
But
they didn't play it off as a joke. You're acting. Whatever.
Okay, they played it off as a joke.
They don't abuse the art. Whatever.
Okay,
they do abuse the artist, but they didn't play off as a joke. Their abuse.
Okay, that maybe I'm being a bit melodramatic, but like at the end of the day, I just didn't enjoy the fact that it's like, well, we could have had a resolution to not only Jen's arc, to seeing what's going on with Intelligentsia, getting basically an actual resolution to the series. We just kind of got like this, we're clever writing team because we realized we don't know how to wrap up this show or like how to write this, so let's just point it out.
What if you knew for a fact that it was their plan all along?
Honestly, I would kind of say that idea. Write an actual show, write an actual ending.
Interesting.
Nah.
See, for this particular show, I dig it. If they do this again in something like a season 2 or
they're gonna do it in Deadpool probably. And that's going to just be...
We're not going to complain about future potential.
We're
not going to do this.
Look, I think this is good as a one and done kind of thing. And
guys, I don't think they're going to do this every season because it's going to like...
No.
Kevin the Robot even says... Yeah, well, now you're locked out. You're not coming back in here. Like, they pretty much confirmed it's a one and done. He literally says it.
Yeah.
And look...
Also, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to get this off my chest finally. They talk about the VFX being expensive, not about being that they have no time or no effort. They talk about it being expensive. They just say it as a budget joke, and that's it. It's not about the artists and whatnot.
My God, it works so much for me. And when Kevin goes, we already moved on to our next project, and you just hear the Wakandan drums.
Ludwig Göransson's score for Wakanda made me laugh so hard because it caught me by surprise. Oh, it's so funny.
I vividly remember, Stefano, if you're listening to this, he's totally not, but if maybe I'll send it to you so you can listen to this episode. When we watched Civil War together in theaters, one of our friends was just like, at the end of the movie, he's like, dude, like every time Black Panther was on screen, they just played this little like African like whistle type sound effect, and he just died of laughter. So this kind of reminded me of that.
Henry Jackman was cooking when he was composing Civil War.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's it.
I guess like for me, it's just like I felt like this show would have worked much better having an actual resolution than doing that. I feel like that's very much something that should have been dedicated to like a series finale where it's like after 2-3 seasons, that's how it ends.
I think number one, that would be more disappointing as a series finale if that's the way they decide to end it. I kind of disagree with Paolo in the sense that I feel it wrapped up a little bit too cleanly. I feel like we were all sort of expecting
Daredevil spawned out of nowhere. That was funny to me.
Oh, dude, when Daredevil first, sidetrack. When Daredevil did a superhero landing, like literally out of nowhere, just coming into the scene, was so funny. But anyway, I feel like the show kind of wrapped up itself a little bit too cleanly because we were expecting the leader for Intelligentsia. We were expecting a bigger bad, someone behind the scenes, because with all this news now about Captain America New World Order, we know that the leader's in that film, and we were very clearly expecting the person who wanted Jen's blood to probably be the leader or someone like the leader. So having it just be that douchebag Todd and then you kind of don't really get any sense of ambiguity left over, or kind of like, where's this gonna go? It just kind of like wraps itself up with a pretty little bow in a sense.
It's not satisfying at all.
So how I disagree with Paolo is that, I just felt like maybe they could have left it a little bit more open-ended for further exploration in the next Captain America, or maybe even a She-Hulk season 2. Now we might get to see that trial with Todd. But my money says we're not going to.
Should it happen off screen like a lot of Marvel Studios, like Far From Home?
I just want to sit next to MJ on the plane.
Enough with the MJ.
Plus, the writing team admitted they don't know how to write courtroom scenes.
Out of context quotes.
You could tell because a lot of the legal stuff. I'm like, I'm not a lawyer, but it doesn't sound.
No, it was just
Wow, look at this guy. He watched Better Call Saul.
fantastic show.
And I guess the final thing we have to talk about.
Yeah.
The man with the f***ed up haircut.
Oh my God, Scar. Yeah.
Yo, what? Stan Lee in Sakaar really botched that man's head.
If you guys
what
don't
was
remember,
he doing?
You guys don't remember in Ragnarok, Stanley had a cameo where he was a barber basically, and he was had to cut Thor's hair. So yeah, he probably.
I'm surprised they really did commit to the idea of putting Scar in the MCU.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I'm really into that. I want to see where that goes, but like his character design is kind of
he looked horrible.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be real with you guys. As a Hulk fan, I never really liked the character that much.
That's fair.
I've never been a fan of him. So seeing him in the show, I was already like, ugh. And seeing him look even uglier than he did in the comics, I'm really like, ah.
Because in the comics, he basically looked like hulked out Conan the Barbarian.
Yes.
And that's kind of cool.
Well,
that's a cool
He grew up on a
aesthetic.
gladiator planet. Like, I could believe that. This one, I don't know. Like, you can always they always change the design. So I guarantee you they're going to change it.
Also, for those listening, in case you're not aware of who we're talking about, Scar is Hulk's son. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Who shows up in the last episode.
Last episode.
Which you think Kevin Feige, Kevin the Robot, is about to say, oh, but Hulk needs to bring, and then She-Hulk says, save for the movie.
Yes.
Which is funny, because like, oh, does that mean they're making a Hulk movie, maybe? Who knows?
Well, I mean, the rights are going to expire either this year or next year, so...
They might already be
For
expired.
Universal, because Universal co-owns the rights with Marvel
Mark
Studios
Ruffalo
for
said.
distribution.
As Mark Ruffalo once said, take that, Universal. But that being said, also, we didn't mention this. I'm going to mention this now. I'm kind of jumping back and forth, whatever. First mention of the X-Men in the MCU, which is kind of insane when you think about it. So funny.
Her joke about smashing Matt Murdock was hilarious.
That was also good. That being said, Scar is a character I don't like.
Speaking of smashing Matt Murdock, smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Don't
please.
forget to smash that like button. But more importantly, Scar sucks. The design is terrible. He looks like Timothy Chalamet on John Cena's body. I don't really understand why they designed him like that. I'm gonna be real. They're gonna change the design. They're gonna change. Like, I'm not too worried, but it's like we see him for 2 seconds. They're gonna change that.
Oh no,
design. He's
100%. But it's just like it kind of just sucks that he's fucking ugly.
It's not even in face. It's just, what is that haircut? What did the barber do to him?
And he's just like,
It's
Paolo is like doing. I don't even know how to describe what Paolo just did with his body.
he
like
just did like a muscle man type of like posture.
It's just, I just don't like the design, and I don't like that character, so it really didn't make me feel better about it. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
That being said, the first appearance I have upstairs is very good. Very good for me. So yeah, I guess that's our thoughts on She-Hulk and Scar's f***ed up hairline. That being said, this is actually, I don't know if you guys realize this, but this is actually the last Marvel Studios TV show for 2022.
Huh. You know what that means? Ranking time!
Oh, not the ranking again!
How are we gonna rank the MCU shows? Let's do it from the top.
No. I was trying to wrap up so we avoid this. No more rankings. They know our rankings. They know
It's tradition. We gotta rank every MCU show.
Every episode we do it.
Okay.
So basically,
fine.
okay. So here's what I think. For those watching on YouTube,
Is it a hard question for you?
No, no, it's not an impossible question for me.
Okay,
There.
I thought it would
Yeah,
be.
I'm gonna change it up a little bit this time. Okay, so for those watching on YouTube, I'm just gonna throw up what our old rankings were. For myself, it's probably I don't know. It's probably near the bottom for sure. Because overall, if I really have to be fair, it wasn't as even as I thought it could be, and it definitely wasn't as strong as some of the other shows or most of the other shows, maybe even all of the other shows. So what I'm gonna say is this: I'm gonna say it's in between probably Hawkeye or What If, maybe around What If. So the bottom essentially.
Well, I'll put it just underneath Miss Marvel and whatever was like around that era. Just put
So
it
you think
underneath
it's better
Ms.
than
Marvel.
Hawkeye?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think maybe. I don't know. I guess. I didn't think too hard about this ranking, and I'm tired of ranking, so it's there. Just put it under Miss Marvel for now. Subject to change. Who knows?
Paulo.
Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, Loki,
No, you said WandaVision, I think.
WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Cap, or the other way.
Yes, Cap.
Cap and Winter Soldier, right?
Then Hawkeye.
Not Falcon.
Hawkeye. What's the other fucking shows that came out?
What If?
What if? That's it.
What if She-Hulk above What If.
Okay, cool. So basically, like me. Okay, for the bottom.
Point being, we ranked the guys like, I don't know. No more rankings from now on.
We're doing it every time.
Even when we review Peacemaker, we're gonna put it in our MCU ranking.
And don't forget to support your local comic book stores.
Hey, that's my line.
No, but seriously, guys, if you haven't done it yet throughout this video or this podcast audio only listening experience, if you are listening on Spotify, Apple, or your podcast platform of choice, please consider following the Reference Point Podcast. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, like I said, smash that like button, okay? I want you to hit that notification bell. I want you to subscribe, and I want you to share the video because it really helps us out a lot, and it really gives us that motivation to keep going. And like I said, that's all YouTube really cares about are those subscriber numbers. So pump those up for OARTV. There's a lot of really great content from a lot of really great artists on there.
And don't forget to leave a comment. Are we MCU shills? Or are we...
I know I am.
Are
Misogynists?
we misogynists? Are we just like promoting feminist propaganda?
You decide.
You decide. There is no right or wrong. Anyway, so that's the show. Take care. Bye-bye.
And don't forget to support your local comic book stores.
We already said it. Shut the
Too late. I already said it again.
Bitch.